Hey everyone, Mark Hespin here, host of On the Mark on News Talk 1070 KHMO and the KHMO app. You can like and subscribe to my YouTube channel here. You're watching it now at Mark Hespin. Also on all social media platforms at Mark Hespin. That's Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube at Mark Hespin, MarkHespen. Listen to the show live every Saturday morning, 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock on News Talk 1070 KHMO or the KHMO app. Or you can join us on the Facebook Live. Just search On the Mark KHMO on Facebook. We'll be doing a broadcast live on location from Cunis Honda Hyundai this week in preparation for the big game. Can't wait for that. It's going to be an absolutely epic show. So that's this Saturday morning. Tune into it. Today's video, I want to take some time to talk about the fact that will Super Bowl 58 be a blowout? I think there are some signs and some important stats to point us in the direction of answering, could we be actually seeing a blowout in Super Bowl 58? So let's jump into it. Blowout to me is a 3-score or more. You win by 17 or more points. You've won by 3 or more scores. A team has to score 3 times or more to tie and or take the lead from you. To me, that's a blowout. You're winning by 17 plus. That is a beatdown, a stomping, a blowout, whatever you want to call it. We've seen some blowouts in the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Niners beat the Broncos by 45 way back in the what was that, Super Bowl 24. The Bears obviously blowing out the Patriots in the 85-86 Super Bowl. That was a 46-10. More recently, the Seattle Seahawks beating down on the Broncos, Peyton Manning, that elusive and incredible offense. So we've seen some blowouts. Do I expect a blowout in Super Bowl 58? I'm going to start by saying, in answering this question just off the top of my head, no. I don't feel like we're going to be a blowout. But I did a lot of digging, and I think there's some stats to kind of give us an idea of if there was going to be a blowout, who actually could blow the other team out. First and foremost, let's start with the fact that Kansas City this season, playoffs and all the regular season, has only blown out a team, by my standards, a 17-point win or more twice. One of those times was the first time Taylor Swift saw a football game to go see Travis Kelce in the beatdown of the Bears where they won by 31 points. And the other time was their playoff win at home against Miami, a 19-point victory in the third coldest game in NFL history. So Kansas City, the way this team has been built, the way this team has played all year, has not blown anyone out. I mean, they blew out the Bears before they got Montez Sweat and the defense actually started playing good football. And then they beat down on a Dolphins team that froze to death in Kansas City. So I don't know how you look at either of those and say you can feel confident saying, oh, Kansas City could blow out San Francisco. For San Francisco, they had a lot of them this year. They blew out the Steelers by 23, the Giants by 18, the Cardinals by 19, the Cowboys by 32, the Jags. Remember that beatdown of the Jags by 31 points? That was after their 3-game losing streak. Seattle, they won by 18. The Eagles, they beat by 23. That was a big, huge game for them. The Commanders, late in the season, they won by 17. So obviously San Francisco has a little bit more of I would argue, the pedigree to blow the Chiefs out than necessarily the Chiefs being able to blow out the Niners. Because, again, we've seen it happen this year for the Niners. In looking at this a little bit more, though, a couple other things that really came to my mind. In order to blow a team out, you have to think to yourself, your offense can score probably close to 30 or more points against a defense that you can absolutely put points up on. Here's the thing. People think because it's easier to name the guys on the San Francisco 49ers defense that the San Francisco 49ers defense is better than the Chiefs. I don't think that's necessarily the case. The Chiefs defense was second in yards per game this year with 289 versus the Niners with 303. Kansas City, they gave up 113 rush yards per game versus the Niners 89. Kansas City also and San Francisco were equal in scoring. Each team gave up 17.3 and 17.5 points per game. That's second and third in the NFL. So both teams hold you when they run the football. They're both in the top half. Both teams, top half of pass defense. Both teams only giving up 17.5 points per game. So any team, either offense scoring 34 plus points to get you some sort of a blowout victory, seems highly unlikely going into this game, because you're talking about not just a San Francisco defense where it's easy to name the guys. We talk about a Chiefs defense that's played extremely well all year. Also, San Francisco and Kansas City, when you look at the defenses, what I found really interesting in doing the stats on it, you'd think, look at the names: Bosa, Armstead, Chase Young. Oh, the Niners can rush the passer. Kansas City had more sacks during the regular season by a considerable amount, 57 to 48. So 9 more sacks for the Chiefs during the regular season than the Niners. That's not an insignificant number. That's a half a sack a game, basically. And in the playoffs so far, the Chiefs, now granted they played one more game, but 6 sacks to 2. And the 2 sacks that the Niners had both came from Nick Bosa in the game against Detroit. So overall, even though the Green Bay Packers offensive line was nothing to write home about, and the Lions offensive line is very good, this really vaunted 49ers defense has only gotten 2 sacks so far in the postseason. So all of this is leading up for me to basically tell you, I truly don't believe this is going to be a blowout. I know it's easy to say, and it's like you're around the water cooler with your buddies or, at work. You're like, well, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a close game. All signs are pointing it to be a close game. Now, I say all that to say this. If one team was going to blow out the other team, I truly believe it would be the Chiefs blowing out the Niners. And I know that seems wild or hard to believe, that your gut says it would be the opposite, right? Well, look at where these teams are and how they have been playing over the last couple weeks. The 49ers escaped a game against Green Bay in which they were lucky that Jordan Love threw one of the worst interceptions I've ever seen, or else they'd be home already after a one and done as the number 1 seed. Then it took a Lions a fumble, drop passes, and a historic comeback win for the 49ers to survive Detroit. Both of those games were at home. And I would argue that as good as the Lions were this year, and as certainly as great of a run that Jordan Love was on late in the season, neither of those teams are Patrick Mahomes. Neither of those teams are the Kansas City Chiefs, who have won 2 Super Bowls in the last 4 years, who've been to 3 Super Bowls in the last 4 years, have the best offensive coach in football, have a defensive coach in Steve Spagnuolo that can get after you and create havoc, and has the best tight end maybe in NFL history, and a running back in Pacheco who can run the rock. I mean, Kansas City, they rushed the ball for 147 yards against Miami. They rushed the ball for 146 yards and a touchdown against the Bills. And when they needed to, in a slugfest against the best team in football, the Baltimore Ravens, they committed to the run, running the ball 32 times. So it's not just Mahomes. They're really playing a balanced style of football going into this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. That's the point of this video, why I'm making it. The defenses are too close. The offenses are both capable of putting up points, but each offense's strength is kind of is not exactly a weakness of the other team's defense. The only thing I could think you could argue is the Niners rush offense, 3rd in the league rushing, versus a Chiefs defense that was about like 15th or 16th in the league and giving up 113 rush yards per game. So you could argue that there is your chance for there to be, big plays, chunk plays for the Niners. But in order for it to be a blowout, usually you're going to need to score quickly, and that's passing the football. Kansas City's pass defense is very good, underrated back end of that secondary. Obviously, we know Kansas City can rush the passer better than San Francisco. That's just what the season stats point out to. I know you named the names in San Francisco, but the stats point to Kansas City being able to rush the passer better. I think all of that stuff keeps this game really tight, really close. Now, what does that mean? Who's going to win? We'll find out Saturday morning. I'll make my official prediction on the live and on location, first ever on location broadcast of On the Mark News Talk 1070 KHMO from Kunis Honda Hyundai. Follow me on all social media channels. Don't bet a blowout. This is going to be a close game. The stats back it up. The eye test backs it up. No blowout in Super Bowl 58.